Major layoffs at Etsy headquarters, JOANN Fabrics stock price continues to tumble, and a very exciting announcement from a popular fabric designer. That's what we'll be talking about tonight. Welcome to Sewing Report Live. I'm Jen, and this is the first show of 2024. Welcome if this is your first time here. We're gonna learn some stuff. We're gonna have some fun, and I also have some questions for you guys towards the end. So we are going to get right into it. These are some things I really wanted to touch on, some topics. I'm coming at you from a sewing room in Florida here. And if you're new here, this is an all live channel where I talk about what's going on in the sewing, quilting, and crafting world. Also, sometimes we have some fun shows, but this is mostly a live channel. So if you're new here, I'd greatly appreciate it if you could hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if this sounds like it's up your alley. I'm also going to turn off the music because we don't want that the whole time here. All right, so before we get into things, though, I do have to thank tonight's live stream sponsor. And of course, that is the Sewing Report Etsy shop, where you can find fabric, sewing supplies, and some homemade items as well that I've just started stocking. And I do want to talk a little bit more about what's in store for the Sewing Report Etsy shop, because I do have some new inventory coming in, and I want to get your feedback on how this is presented in the shop. So check it out. Every purchase helps to support this mission here at the Sewing Report, which is to provide free content for everyone here. So again, this is a yes, I'm sponsoring my own live stream. You're like, okay, that's weird. But hey, that's what it is here. This is a place where we don't take ourselves too seriously. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments. All right, we got a few viewers here tonight. Thank you all for watching. Very excited to get into things here. All right, let me turn this off. We've got a few of our regulars here. I see. Oh, yes. But welcome everyone who's watching. All right, so we're going to touch on a few topics. Then I've got some housekeeping items towards the end. I want to get your feedback as well. And I'll tell you what, between stories, we will read some of the chat here. So if you're watching live or if you're watching on the replay, I greatly appreciate it. All right, so the first topic we've got up tonight, this is not super new, but I wanted to do some research before getting into this. Obviously, a big deal for people who sell on Etsy, or even people who just purchase on Etsy. Etsy is cutting 11% of the workforce. That's a big deal. So I want to go into a few different articles. I found this one, and by the way, all of these resources are linked in the description box if you want to take the time and read all about it yourself. Etsy is going to be cutting 11% of the workforce. The online marketplace said reducing its headcount by 225 people, including its current chief marketing officer, will help maintain a sustainable cost structure. This is from Retail Dive. I've actually found quite a few good articles on retail trends and different things happening on this site. All right, so basically, they're laying off 11% of the workforce, 225 employees, due to the challenging macroeconomic environment. CEO Josh Silverman wrote in a note to employees, Wednesday was the last day of employment for many of those let go. And this is like from a few weeks ago, so they've already been like, that sucks though. They were laid off right before the holidays. That stinks. As part of a restructuring plan, Chief Marketing Officer Ryan Scott and Chief Human Resources Officer Kamaria Seymour will both leave the company on December 31st, according to a filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Now, whenever a publicly traded company makes a big change in the workforce like this, I believe they're required to file this report with the SEC, so that's why we know about it. Chief Operating Officer Raina Moskowitz will become the Chief Operating and Marketing Officer, while Tony Thompson, Etsy's Vice President of People and Talent Strategy since 2020, replaces Moskowitz on January 1st. CEO Josh Silverman said, well, the Etsy marketplace is more than double the size it was in 2019. Gross merchandise sales have remained flat since 2021. Employee expenses had grown despite pausing hiring and other cost-cutting measures. This is ultimately not a sustainable trajectory, and we must change it, Silverman said. All right, so I'm going to read the Dives insight, and then I'll share some of my own insight as well. As someone who purchases and sells on Etsy, Etsy's workforce will fall to about 1,770 people as a result of the job cuts. That will leave the company's headcount similar to early 2022 levels, Silverman said in the announcement. Following extensive discussions and analysis with senior leaders, it was apparent that a leaner, more agile team, I'm going to kind of switch things up a little bit. All right, here we go. It was apparent that a leaner, more agile team would enable us to properly focus on our key growth priorities, move bold and fast, and maintain a sustainable cost structure. Silverman said, letting go of some employees was absolutely not an option we wanted to pursue, but it was a necessary business decision. So Etsy's severance package includes 16 weeks of base pay, so about 4 months, plus 1 week off for 1 week for each full year of service, a payout of accrued unused paid time off, a year of COBRA health care coverage for U.S. employees, including mental health support, and 3 months of career service support. Departing employees can also keep their company laptops. I will say that's, as someone who, now I've never been affected by a layoff in my corporate career in media, but I have seen a lot of the severance packages from corporate media companies, and this is actually pretty good. Getting 4 months plus 1 week for every year of service, that's not bad. A lot of severance is like 1 or 2 months. So 4 months is actually fairly generous. Corporate benefits, I've seen how much that insurance costs, and it's astronomically expensive. Not even usually worth doing, in my opinion. All right, the company, okay, blah, blah, blah. All right. So yeah, it looks like the workforce they had just wasn't keeping up with the revenue they're bringing in. Plus, let's be real, the pandemic era wasn't real. Like, that was a very artificial boom that a lot of companies saw. So to me, like, that really makes sense. All right, so Etsy on Wednesday also updated its fourth quarter guidance. The company now estimates that on a year-over-year basis, its consolidated gross merchandise sales will decline approximately 2 to 1%, and its adjusted EBITDA margin, not really sure what that is, will range from 27 to 28%. The restructuring plan is not expected to materially impact Etsy's primary guidance metrics, gross merchandise sales, revenue, and adjusted EBITDA for the fourth quarter. Despite near-term growth challenges, we continue to like Etsy's longer-term growth opportunities. Yeah, I don't know about that, in the U.S. and abroad, and believe its unique marketplace is difficult to replicate. Etsy isn't alone in announcing holiday layoffs. Hasbro announced that it's cutting 1,100 jobs. That's the toy company. And online retailer Zulily, which recently said it planned to lay off more than 800 in February, has accelerated those plans. I believe they're like close. I think Zulily is like kind of closing altogether, from what I understand. So, all right, we're going to look at another article here. There's a few. So this one is from CNBC here. But yeah, lots of news of this these layoffs here. Okay. Let's take a look at the CNBC article. Okay, similar information here. All right, there's Josh. A lot of people really don't seem to like him. And since the company went public, a lot of people I know have said they don't really like all of the changes. I know there's been a lot of fee hikes, and Etsy seems to have be kind of overrun with a lot of the drop shippers and like the mass produced crap we all have been seeing. So Etsy, in my opinion, is not what it once was. All right, similar information here. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, Etsy layoffs will cost between $25 million and $30 million, the bulk of which will be used for severance payouts, employee benefits, and other related costs. Over time, the restructuring is expected to deliver meaningful operational efficiencies and cost savings and or cost avoidance, especially when it comes with salary costs and benefits. The restructuring is expected to be complete by the end of the first quarter of 2024. All right, here's same information. So here's the thing. I've worked for a larger corporation, and it does seem like when you get to that level, there are a lot of jobs that seem to be kind of unnecessary. Like, there will be like people in like middle management or people that, work at the company headquarters that you don't even really know what they do. They seem to go to meetings a lot and send emails, but they don't have a lot of real work. So in a lot of these corporations, there seems to be a lot of room where you can like trim the fat, so to speak, or like cut them out and you really don't notice a difference in terms of the performance. So it seems like I don't know exactly which jobs are getting cut, but my guess is that there are probably a lot of positions like that. And yeah, it is kind of frustrating as someone who is more of the worker bee at a corporation to see all these people making six-figure salaries and you don't even know what the heck they do. And those are typically the first that get cut in a recession or in a company restructuring because they're just not really very useful positions. So, I mean, I'm sure there probably were quite a few areas where Etsy could cut those people out. Again, I know it sucks to be laid off, but at the same time, you do see a lot of bloat in corporate America where there's a lot of jobs that just they're like overpaid. These people are overpaid for what they do. They don't do a lot and they're not really necessary. So I don't know. It is what it is. I mean, it's 11%. What do you guys think about all this? In fact, there's probably even more, like they could probably trim further and be really cutthroat with the layoffs. I know it kind of sucks for the people that remain because then you end up having to pick up the slack for your colleagues. But, let's be real. There are a lot of jobs at these corporations where the workload is pretty light. So even giving those people more work, that would probably be more like a regular job at that point. But I've seriously been in situations where I've physically seen people who don't do much. They get paid $75,000 a year, $100,000 a year, $150,000 a year. And these people always seem to have a lot of time to like shop online at their desks, go down to the cafeteria, go out to eat, take 3-hour lunches. And these are pretty cush jobs that aren't really that crucial to the operations. So I'm sure Etsy probably had positions like that. Now, if you were affected by the layoffs, I'm very sorry to hear that. And I might be wrong, but I'll just say firsthand, I've seen this, and there do tend to be a lot of positions like that where they're just very cush, very overpaid, and those are the first to get cut when you hit any sort of a turbulence with the economy or with the company itself. So, all right, let's take a look at another article here. All right, so this one is from Inc.com. How Etsy layoffs affect its shop-owning sellers. The online marketplace's recent job cuts may hurt small businesses that rely on it. All right. Etsy, the online marketplace that thousands of small businesses and solo entrepreneurs use as a sales platform, laid off 11% of its workforce. All right, the staff reductions worry the mainly female small business owners who have already seen sales flag as shoppers head for alternative platforms. All right, I'm going to skip over some of the redundant stuff. Okay. All right, here we go. Shop owner Tana Zabrowski sells custom candles, handmade art, and other personalized home goods products from her shop, Favor Design Studio. Zabrowski says there are too many dishonest sellers on Etsy who are listing store-bought items for less. That's definitely a problem. Etsy Criteria keeps an eye on all the products sold on its platform, trying to ensure they're handmade or fit its artisanal factory criteria. But Zabrowski says Etsy has been overlooking shops defying this policy, hurting handmade sellers. That's a good point, and that is an issue on Etsy. And you could wonder, with fewer people at Etsy, are they going to be able to, gloss over more of those types of shops? I've seen a lot of stuff on Etsy that's very questionable selling wise. All right. Speaking before the layoff announcement, Zabrowski said her concern with the job cuts is Etsy losing the manpower it needs to crack down on these crucial policies. The studio owner said Etsy has told users it is working on handling those defying the policy, but to enforce their handmade policy, it has to be policed. So it is hard to understand laying people off, Zabrowski said. That's a good point. At the start of the pandemic's e-commerce boom, Etsy had nearly doubled its headcount between 2020 and 2022, peaking at 2,790 people, according to its recent regulatory filings. That's a fairly large workforce. The online marketplace has seen its revenue growth slow sharply over the past 3 years, as e-commerce demand slowed and shoppers turned to retailers offering cheaper alternatives. Josh Silverman said this week's organizational restructuring was in response to essentially flat sales. That makes a lot of sense. Etsy management says a leaner, more agile team would enable us to move, hold, and fast. According to shop owners like Zabrowski, Etsy was struggling with moving bold and fast before the layoffs, especially when it comes to protecting its small businesses. People will take advantage and put the handmade sellers out of business. So I think the shop owner has some valid concerns. I've seen a lot of stuff on Etsy that was like not supposed to be on Etsy, like people just reselling random stuff. I've seen people selling counterfeit items. We've seen a lot of people selling stuff that's definitely not handmade. And now we've also seen the rise of all of these print-on-demand shops that are selling like AI-generated designs or stuff that's not really designed by the person. So it's like, at what point is that not really handmade? Now, I sell supplies, which is fine, but a lot of people are selling stuff that it's very clear they're trying to pass off as being like handmade, one-of-a-kind stuff when it's clearly not. So that is definitely an issue, I think. So I think it'll be interesting to see how these layoffs do affect the day-to-day operations of Etsy, and to see how well this company moves in terms of, a lot of people are very distrustful of Etsy now because I've seen, they order something they think is handmade and then they find it on Amazon for half the price. So I think that's a fairly large concern. And as a seller myself, I think the Etsy reputation is very important. And I think the more they let people get away with that type of activity, the less people are going to want to shop there. So I definitely can see that being a problem. And if we take a look at the current Etsy stock price, look at the trajectory between, let me put this back up. Look at the trajectory between 2019 and now. So the company's been public, I think, since like 2015. The stock price started off around $27. Here's 2019, around $55. All right, 2020, look at start of the pandemic, skyrockets to, all right, $291 in December of 2021. And this makes a lot of sense because, people were at home, people were spending money online, and people had time. People really had a lot more time to focus on trying to get into making things online. A lot of people started Etsy shops during the pandemic. A lot of people had more disposable income. We had the stimulus checks. So it makes a lot of sense why Etsy saw this meteoric rise during the COVID lockdowns and during the pandemic because, check this out. $220 February 2021. Yeah, it got to almost $300. And then took a dive starting in 2022. Not any better in 2023. And now the Etsy stock is about $75 from a record high of about $291. I think a lot of companies are in the same boat. So I think Etsy is definitely not an exception here. A lot of companies saw just massive growth during the pandemic, and then things came back down to earth, and now they're not seeing, like, sales have flatlined or declined, and now people have kind of gone back to like their regularly scheduled programming. And I mean, this makes total sense as to why Etsy grew massively during the pandemic, and then now they're just, they're definitely not seeing the kind of growth they were during this time period. So I think this makes total sense. And I think a lot of companies kind of get over ahead their skis, and then they're like, oh, it's going to be like this forever. A lot of Etsy shops dealt with the same thing, and a lot of companies that started during the pandemic, they thought the sales would always be gangbusters. And now we're seeing things kind of come back down to a more realistic level, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, things are, they're freaking out because, again, people... We're seeing things like inflation. There's been layoffs at quite a few different companies now, and people aren't spending as much money, so they don't have as much disposable income to spend on learning a new hobby. People are not home as much, and they're not spending as much money on stuff like Etsy products. So all right, let's take a moment and we'll look at some comments here. Okay, all right, we got quite a few comments. We have like a kind of a record amount of viewers too. I don't think I've ever had this many viewers on a live stream before. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Okay. We got Tara here. Thank you for joining us. Tara, she's one of our regulars. I gave away 2 bags of items that I would have used for my Etsy last week. I'm curious to see what Jen discovered. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, Sarah, glad to see you got your So Tight stand work. Yes, I unboxed this on the New Year's Eve live stream, and I finally got this to work. This is the So Tights hang stand. The wonderful folks at So Tights sent this my way as a surprise. I'm personally not selling this, but there is a link in the description box if you want to shop at the So Tights website. You can get a discount, 15% off your order with the coupon code So On Your Report. This is not sponsored, but they did send this to me, and I am a So Tights affiliate, just disclosure. I also sell some of these So Tights myself in the Etsy shop. But I like the stand. I got all my So Tights there, and I love it. All right, we've got Lisa here. Thank you for joining us, Lisa. All right, we've got Rebecca joining in from New Hampshire. Yes, Denise, we are going to be talking about this fabric because this is one of the news stories we'll be touching on here. All right, got one Merciless Mink. I'll be surprised if JOANN's is still in business next year at this time. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later. All right, Charlene, 1,770 is still too many people. Yeah, I want to know, like, what it really takes to run Etsy, like, on a day-to-day level. Like, what all, I don't know what all it takes. I'm just sort of curious. All right, Tara says, right, Charlene, what does Etsy need that many non-selling employees for? All right, Casey, I've been laid off, and that is a fantastic severance package even before the Cobra. Yeah, 4 months off to figure things out. That's not bad. Plus, you get the Cobra, plus you get 1 week for every year you've been there. So if you've been there for, say 5 years, you get another month, you get another 5 weeks. That's not that bad. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay, Rebecca says, earnings before, okay, EBITDA, thank you very much. Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. It's an indicator of strong, weak financial strength. All right, Lisa, agree, Jen. Etsy is not what it started out as. All right. Yes, all right. Tara, yes, Lisa, and it seems Etsy lets so much on there that does not belong. Yeah, right? Right. All right, Tara, right on, dumped my Etsy shop when I noticed all the junk being sold. Yeah, and I'll say, as someone, I've been selling on Etsy for about 3 years. It's tough. My shop is about breaking even. I'm not getting rich off my Etsy shop, that's for sure. It is tough to sustain an Etsy shop, and I have a fairly strong social media presence. So, it is what it is. All right, Tara, I opened my shop in 2018 and did great until 2022. Then 2023, my shop died. I even introduced more and new products and only had a few sales. I haven't shut down yet, but it may happen. Well, Tara, I want to know, what do you feel is causing the, slowdown in sales? What's your kind of vibe on that? All right, Lisa, real handmade items cannot compete with cheap junk copies. I've seen so much junk on Etsy, it's not even funny. All right, Jen's here. Thank you, Jen. Glowforge also laid off 30 of its 149 staff members. That's a lot, too, for a company that only has 149 employees. That's really... All right, we've got War Paint Unicorns watching on Twitch. Thank you. Thank you, War Paint Unicorns. Yeah, we don't get a huge Twitch viewership, but, we usually get one or two. All right, Christina, everyone around me tell me I need to open an Etsy shop. So glad I didn't. That's a really good point you bring up, because when people in your life, like friends and family, see you make stuff, they're like, the first thing you get is, oh my gosh, those are so good, you should open an Etsy shop. And I think they mean well, but I don't think people realize how much work goes into an Etsy shop and how hard selling really is. Even if you're very good at what you do, it is really hard to get a sustainable business selling things online. Plus there's the marketing, getting discovered, all of that stuff. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy to make a living selling on Etsy. That's for sure. All right, we've got my Scrappin' Mama here. I have spent quite a bit on Etsy, and the most disappointing item was an engraved dog tag, supposedly handmade in Montana, came drop shipped out of China. Yeah, that's the problem here. Took 6 weeks to come. Sad face, purple crying. I'm so sorry. I've been duped on Etsy as well by a few things, so I'll just leave it at that. But it is what it is. I do think Etsy. I think a lot more people would be more inclined to shop on Etsy if they felt pretty good about what they were buying and not feel like they're going to get scammed like that. And I've seen some sellers on Etsy that are a little sketchy. I've seen a lot of people selling copyrighted items that probably shouldn't be. So there's a lot of stuff going on with Etsy. Plus, okay, so I noticed during the holidays, like part of when they did that last fee hike, now the fees are like 6.5%. Plus there's other fees with each transaction. And Etsy promised they were going to spend more on marketing. And I'm like, do they really need to spend more on marketing? Like, and here's what I saw. I saw Etsy dumped some money into buying making commercials. I'm like, is that really necessary? People already know what Etsy is. And then I also noticed they had paid a bunch of celebrities and influencers to promote Etsy on social media. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but that just seems kind of unnecessary. Because people are like, it's not like Etsy needs any more name recognition. So I don't know. I felt like maybe the money could have been better spent elsewhere, like policing some of the shops for shops that were violating the policies, rather than paying influencers who are already very wealthy money to promote Etsy shops. I don't know. So I just thought that was a little strange. All right, Deb says, inflation, financial interest, credit card service charges really driving all market changes. That's a good point there. All right, making new dreams come true. A lot of people want dirt cheap and don't appreciate handmade. Yeah, I feel that. Especially when you can get stuff on Amazon so cheap, or from Wish, or from Temu, or all of those other places, or Shein. It's hard for people. Plus, I don't blame the people that can't afford handmade stuff. It is expensive, especially when you are taking into account labor costs in a first world country. Some people just can't afford those items, and I don't blame anyone for shopping at Walmart or shopping on Amazon, because buying stuff from like a first world country produced product is expensive. So I don't blame them. Yes, Jen, I think people aren't buying on Etsy too much anymore because of the dropship problem, and also the Asian websites ripping off small designer items. Yeah, that's a really good point here. All right, I'm gonna take a quick drink here, and then we'll move on to our next story here. All right. So this has been highly requested that I do a bit of an update on JOANN Fabrics. I know that live stream was those live streams were very popular. And I wanted to I haven't dug too much into JOANN's, but I found a few new articles. JOANN's is now on a bunch of these lists of like the top companies we expect to go bankrupt in 2024. So that's probably not a good sign. So let's go into the latest with JOANN Fabrics. I did go to the store probably about 2 months ago and did a little bit of investigating. That video is here on the Sewing Report Live channel if you want to check that out. My store was actually decently staffed, but I did notice there was like inventory all over the place. So it looks like maybe the store isn't getting enough labor hours for those employees to be able to properly organize and put away all of the inventory. Just something I noticed. And I did go there to buy the Brother Sketch embroidery machine. They were super nice there though. But I noticed for my personal experience going to JOANN's recently is that most of the employees are not like Gen Z age. I didn't see a lot of older employees. It looks like a lot of those people have left from what I can tell. So, all right, let's take a look at what's going on with JOANN's here. And yeah, I'm really curious to see what happens with JOANN Fabrics this year. I think we're going to see some it would not surprise me if JOANN's filed for bankruptcy. I did see a few articles with some store closures, not a ton of stores, but they did close a handful of stores. So let's see what the latest is with JOANN Fabrics here. All right, so this is from corridorbusiness.com. JOANN Fabric facing financial uncertainty. Some experts say the latest numbers indicate the store could be facing impending bankruptcy. All right. Oh my gosh, these pop-ups drive me crazy here. A popular fabric and craft store is facing financial uncertainty after declining sales and heavy debt decreased its recent credit risk monitor Frisk score to 1. JOANN Inc., popularly referred to as JOANN Fabrics, faced a disappointing fiscal year that experts warn could be an indication of impending bankruptcy. 2023 was a rough year for popular box store chains. Bed Bath & Beyond, Tuesday Morning, and Christmas Tree Shop declared bankruptcy and shuttered their stores, while others closed locations and cut staff as cost-saving measures like CVS and Express. Financial information publisher Credit Risk Monitor conducted an in-depth analysis of several other beloved retailers, and 11 companies were found to have an elevated risk of bankruptcy over the coming year, JOANN being one of them. Historically, companies that receive a Frisk score of 1 have between a 10 and 50% chance of filing for bankruptcy. A Frisk score indicates a company's level of financial stress based on the probability of bankruptcy over a 12-year horizon and is 96% accurate. Oh boy. All right, third quarter fiscal 2024 results see drop in sales but uptick in e-commerce. That makes sense to me. A lot of people are just shopping online. They don't want to go into the stores. I've been kind of monitoring Reddit for, people reporting issues with JOANN's, and a lot of customers are saying their online orders are kind of a disaster. Like, they won't get the items they ordered, it'll be out of stock, and if they try to do the order online pickup in store, it's kind of a mess. And they kind of seem to indicate that a lot of the stores don't have enough manpower to fulfill the orders that are coming in. All right, so JOANN's 2024 third quarter fiscal results became available on the company's website. JOANN lost $21.6 million or 51 cents a share in the quarter, compared with a loss of $17.5 million or 43 cents a share in the year-ago quarter. Sales fell 4.1% to $539.8 million. Same-store sales also dropped 4.1%, including a drop of 11.5% for e-commerce sales. Long-term net debt was $1.148.2 million as of October 28, 2023. With continued progress and strong execution against our strategic priorities, we were pleased with our third quarter results in what remains a dynamic consumer environment. Loyal customers are engaging with us at a greater rate, said JOANN Chief Customer Officer and co-interim Chief Executive Chris DiTullio. Our e-commerce performance was particularly strong, with double-digit quarter growth as we delivered a better and faster consumer experience and benefited from site enhancements driving increased conversion. He added, crediting social media initiatives like #GettingNaughty, I'd never even heard of that, which attempted to reach younger audiences with the Tide Not Blanket trend. In light of the uncertain consumer environment, we are working to manage all aspects of the business prudently while leveraging our read and react capabilities. Wow, what a bunch of corporate mumbo jumbo here. Through advanced data and analytics to control what we can control and capitalize on new opportunities as they arrive, said Scott Sekula, the JOANN Chief Financial Officer and co-lead of the interim office of the CEO. That's because the CEO, Wade Miquelon, resigned last year. JOANN has been without a CEO since May of 2023. That's when Wade Miquelon, who I did a deep dive on him, so if you want to check that out, it was in a previous live stream. Corridor locations remain open, no word on future. JOANN Fabric and Craft opened a 25,000 square foot store in 2017 in the Iowa City marketplace and has recently slashed its operating hours from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Wow, that's not very much. According to a store employee, the reduced hours are a result of the manager and assistant manager leaving their positions simultaneously. A sign affixed to the front entrance is advertising part-time positions, probably paid minimum wage. According to a store manager at the Cedar Rapids location, no information has been released about the status of chain locations, and they declined to comment further. Very interesting. All right, let's take a look at this other article. Now, JOANN's was put on the list of the 5 stores most likely to declare bankruptcy in 2024. Not a good sign here. Not a very good sign. All right, let's see here. Wow. Sears, Pizza Hut, CVS, Foot Locker, and Walgreens have been shuttering locations as a cost-cutting measure. So I just want to be clear, like Etsy and JOANN's are not the only corporate businesses to be affected by the current economic climate. A lot of other businesses are being affected. Plus, there's rising costs of everything. There's inflation, higher gas prices. That means higher transportation costs. So everything is getting more and more expensive. And your dollar just isn't going as far. And, you know, let's be real. For a lot of people, shopping at JOANN's, shopping Etsy is a luxury. It's not a need. It's not like grocery stores. It's not like housing or your electricity. So, you know, if you got to cut out something, you're probably going to cut out the non-essentials first, like crafting and sewing supplies. All right, JOANN Fabrics and Fabric and Crafts. After doing in-depth analysis into some well-known brands, financial information publisher Credit Risk Monitor concluded that national craft retailer JOANN's Fabric and Crafts is at a very high risk for bankruptcy. Credit Risk Monitor assigns scores. Okay, we kind of went over this with the Frisk score. So they have a score of 1, which is the worst score. Okay, fun times there. Unlike many other brands, JOANN's actually was very profitable during the pandemic as people stayed inside and picked up hobbies that the store caters to. Unfortunately, that momentum hasn't lasted and sales have dropped. The company recently had to lay off employees, and their chief executive officer, Wade Miquelon, retired in May and hasn't yet been replaced. Hey, at least they're saving some money from that, right? With his golden parachute, he just got to kind of sail off to, you know, his cushy mansion, and that's cool. Well, the chain was able to save some money by getting price concessions from suppliers. They also carry a lot of debt, too. I saw another article where JOANN's debt is high and the cost of everything has risen. All right, by getting price concessions from suppliers, there's no word yet on if they also plan to implement any large-scale cost-saving measures like shuttering some of their locations. All right, so some of the other businesses, Big Lots. You know, and I went to Big Lots a while ago, and they just, you know, I remember it being like having better stuff back in the day, like just not a lot of stuff lately that I'm into. All right, Express. When was the last? I have not shopped at Express in years. The Container Store, kind of surprising, but I guess that kind of makes sense. You know, the stuff at the Container Store is fairly expensive, in my opinion, for what it is. And there's just a lot of cheap knockoffs you can get, so a lot of people are getting that. Like, I found knockoffs of a lot of stuff at the Container Store at Aldi. So it's like, if you can get it at Aldi or you can get it from Amazon, you know, why get it from the Container Store, I guess. Toys R Us, which went bankrupt, and I think it like reopened or something like that. So, you know, I'm really curious to see what happens with JOANN's this year. And let's check out the latest stock price. JOANN's has been public, then it went private, then it went public again in 2021. At the height, this stock price was like $16. Hey, if you short a JOANN stock, good for you, because the stock price is now for literally, it's at like the lowest it's ever been. It's 46 cents. So can it go any lower than that? And I know the JOANN stock is at risk of getting delisted just because the stock price is doing so terrible. So that's the latest at JOANN's. I mean, I'm going to keep monitoring it and seeing what's going on with JOANN's. But, I mean, things are not looking good for JOANN Fabrics. But it's like if JOANN's closes, or if they close a lot of the stores, if they have to file bankruptcy, our options for physical retailers for craft and fabric supplies and sewing stuff is getting pretty slim here. Like the only one I can think of is like Hobby Lobby, which isn't everywhere, and then there's Michael's, which doesn't really sell fabric that much. So, and when I went, I felt like the fabric selection at JOANN's was kind of like wasn't a lot there that I was interested in. And I've actually been shopping mostly online for a lot of my stuff. So, you know, it is what it is. What do you guys think is going to happen at JOANN's this year? I'll be kind of monitoring it, but it's not looking good. They had those layoffs late last year. Things are not looking good. The stock price is at 46 cents. So, I mean, that's not looking great for JOANN's. I would not be surprised just from all of this hubbub if JOANN's did file bankruptcy. Look, I'm not an economic expert, but look, the writing seems to be on the wall. It's not going well. And a lot of the people I've seen who have been trying to place online orders with JOANN's, their orders are just getting screwed up. So, I don't know. It's not great. All right, let's take another, I'm going to take a water break. We'll read some comments here. All right. Okay. All right, we've got, this is funny. Are you talking about JOANN's? They should start selling those Stanley. Okay, those Stanley cups are insanely popular, like the tumblers. I don't personally have one. I have a couple of those Walmart Ozark Trail mugs. Really like them. I don't really have much of a need for the Stanley tumbler because I work from home now and I don't really go out a lot, but they are really cool looking. They're like really expensive too. So I don't know. Yeah, they should start selling the Stanley tumblers. All right, War Paint and Unicorns. All right, you made it over from Twitch, I see. Since it's hard to get a change to buy fashion fabric, I need in person. Okay, I get that. I usually order online for 15 years now, but prefer to feel the fabric if I can. So I sometimes buy test swatches when I can. All right. Melissa's here about the team. Yeah. There is so much cheap crap on Etsy. It's really hard to sift through. I do think Etsy needs to do a much better job of vetting some of the shops. And I think they need to shut down the shops that are clearly not selling handmade stuff or supplies. They're reselling stuff. And I've seen a lot of counterfeit and copyright stuff on Etsy as well. Okay, yeah, what's the big deal with the Stanley bottle? All right, if you guys own a Stanley tumbler, like, what do you love about it? I've seen there was that viral video. So this woman's car caught on fire and the Stanley tumbler was still kicking and it still had ice in it. So I believe the people at Stanley like bought her a new car or something and they sent her a new tumbler. So I thought that was pretty cool. All right, Sears died in Canada in January 2018. Sad day. You know what? I gotta say, I walked into a Sears a few years ago to try to buy a washer dryer, and I was ignored for like 30 minutes, so I just walked out. Like there was nobody there to help me. All right, Christina says, I buy sewing patterns on Etsy. Digital items are good to buy on Etsy. So, okay, I would agree with that. I would also say this, though. I had an experience where I bought something on Etsy. It was a like kind of a plug-in tool for Adobe Premiere Pro, which is my like editing software. And it turned out the person I bought it from had actually stolen it from the original creator and was selling it on Etsy. So you could even get people who are ripping off digital products from other sellers and then reselling it on Etsy. It was super crazy. So you do need to be careful, even buying the digital products, that person might be a thief too. It was super weird. All right, we've got Raya here. I buy the majority of my fabric online, and the JOANN site didn't sell much fashion fabric. Mostly utility fabrics. They sell like way too much fleece now too. There's way too much fleece. JOANN's, you gotta stop with the fleece. There's just too much of it. However, I haven't checked in years unless I needed muslin. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, only real fan here says, I don't know, I have a brewmate. Stanley looks plain to me. Yeah, I don't know. I've seen the Stanley cups. They do look cool. I just don't really have a need for one, so I haven't bought one. Oh, this is interesting. Temu and Shein are entangled with litigation against each other. Oh, that's going to be a fun fight. Okay. Interesting. Okay. All right, yes, Aldi is the best for organization stuff. And Aldi, I haven't been to an Aldi in a while. I need to get to one, though, because Aldi has, like, the best stuff. I would agree. All right, Melissa says, I only shop at JOANN's for sewing patterns or yarn, but the store is always a mess. You know, my store, again, I don't think it's the employees' fault. They just aren't getting enough hours allotted to the store, I think, to deal with it. Okay. All right, Christina says, I don't shop at Hobby Lobby. They don't support women's health care. Okay. Hey, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, Hobby Lobby reduced the fabric department recently. Okay, okay. All right, what about Michaels? Are they okay? So haven't been to, I think Michaels sells some fabric online, and I think they sell some, like, pre-cuts. I remember going to Michaels and getting, like a 2-yard cut of, like, fabric or something like that, something along those lines. But I think they sell like a little bit of fabric, but not a lot. So, you know, and we've already dealt with having fabric.com shut down. So I don't know what else we have left. So, all right, yeah, we have some people. Again, if you don't like Hobby Lobby, hey, that's totally cool. I don't get political. I will say I don't do politics here on this channel. I'm not going to get into that, but you know, hey. You have the right to shop or not shop at any business you want to, you know. Hey, you know, if you don't want to shop there, I totally get it. I haven't shopped at Hobby Lobby in like a while. I just don't have one near me. And I will say the fabric selection at Hobby Lobby, I would say isn't the best either. So, you know. All right. Okay. You're in LA. Okay. They should close all the JOANNs in LA. Lots of dead stock fabric here. And that's the thing. Some areas have more access to fabric than others. I don't have a lot of fabric stores in my areas, so, you know, I do buy a lot of fabric online. Plus, because I am kind of a retailer, I can get some fabrics at wholesale prices. So it is what it is. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, yes, the Stanley, I got to say, genius marketing and PR move on the Stanley company's part. They did buy that lady a car. Yeah, I mean, that's like, yeah, a total no-brainer. And it gives them such good PR, goodwill. It got them a ton of press. Plus that viral video, that probably sold more Stanley cups than like anything else. So I thought that was super cool. All right, yeah, we got a few people who don't want to shop at Hobby. Hey, man, if you don't want to shop at Hobby Lobby, hey, that's your prerogative. Michael's near me is not well stocked. All right, yeah. All right, the quilting and sewing fabric at Michael's is more craft. Yeah, I've seen their like quilting fabric, and it was I just thought the quality was like not quite there. Again, I do like Michael's the store. You know, I don't have any issues with the store itself. But, you know, yeah, I feel like our choices for fabric are just like dwindling. So I don't know. It is what it is. And I got my multicam set up today, and I am going to be talking about this beautiful cat fabric because that is one of our stories today. So I'm excited about that. So yeah, we got lots of people hanging out today. We have a lot of, like, this is probably like the most live viewers I think I've ever had for a live stream. So this is very exciting. And I do realize I need to be a lot more consistent with my live streaming. I kind of let it get away from me towards the end of the year, and I had like sort of like analysis paralysis, if that makes sense. So I am going to be try to be a little bit more consistent with my uploading and with my live streaming this year. All right. Okay, oh wait, sorry. If JOANN's closes, that will trickle down and put pressure on local quilt shops whose prices are higher. You know, I hope. And that's the thing, like, the thing with the local quilt shops, I think it's great they sell quilting cotton, but they don't often sell a lot of the fashion fabric or other types of fabric. Plus, I find the prices are high because they have a brick and mortar store. And I've seen quite a few quilting shops close down in the last year or two as well. So I think business all around is just tough for everybody in general. All right, here we go. Oh, wow. All of my quilting shops have closed in my area. Wow. That's really sad. All right, you get your organizers. You know, I haven't been to my Walmart in like a while. I usually shop online. In full disclosure, my husband and I share a car, so if I want to use the car, I either have to do it on the weekends when he's off or after hours, or I have to take him to work to use the car during the day. So I really try to order online, and, you know, I even get my groceries delivered just because it's just a lot more convenient. I don't, you know, it hasn't been that bad, honestly, but, you know, I don't go out a lot, so I tend to do a lot of my shopping from home. All right, closest fashion fabric store is an hour drive, Fabricland, but I'm still very thankful to still have Lens Mills in my city for the most basic fabric and notions. Okay. I know, I wish I could, there's like a couple fabric stores in my area. One of these days I'm going to go check it out. But here's the thing, the hours tend to be like not very conducive to my like schedule. Like, it'll be open from, like, 10 to 4 or something. And, one, I don't get up that early. And then, two, you know, if I want to go, I have to, like, take my husband to work and stuff. So it can be a little difficult. All right, Rebecca's here. I've switched to buying quilt supplies and fabric from my local quilt shop. A little more expensive, but I love supporting local businesses. For fashion fabric, it's definitely online. Well, thank you for the input. All right, Jen, unrelated. Your hair looks fantastic. Did you change the color, or is it the filming lighting? So I did get my hair done like a couple weeks ago, and then I just kind of curled it a little differently today. So I don't know. It is, yeah, I don't know. I'm having an okay hair day so far. I did just sort of curl it a little, like I gave myself an actual part today instead of having the hair be like kind of all over the place. So thank you. Okay. All right. Elizabeth is here. I'm fortunate to have 3 quilt shops locally. That's awesome. All right, my mindset is to support small quilting businesses in my local area to buy fabric and sewing machines. I realize they might cost more, but I typically find the service is better. I think that's great. I think if you have the finances to do that, I think that's awesome. But at the same time, I don't fault people who don't have that option to try to get the best prices they can. I think everybody's different, and we all have our situations there. Yes, things are tough. One jobber closed his shop. All fabric was $1 a yard. Oh, that's crazy. All right, yeah. The 10 to 4 or like 10 to 6, I feel. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I would rather shop at night. I like shopping at night and like doing things after hours. So, I don't know. Fleece is so expensive at JOANN's unless you have a 60% off coupon. Yeah, I'm kind of over all of the novelty fleece patterns. Like, how much novelty fleece does one person really need? I know they're trying to get the tie blankets to be a trend. I don't sew with fleece a lot, to be honest with you. Like, it's just not my favorite material to sew with, and I just don't tend to buy a lot of it. So, I don't know. It is, you know, some people, that's the thing, we all have different preferences. I also own way too much quilting cotton, so I probably don't need any more. But towards the end of the show, I do want to get your input because I did order some more fabric, and I have some knit fabric that I'm going to be start listing. But I want to get your input on how much knit fabric you typically want. Okay, I'm going to get some water real quick. And in full disclosure, we can expect everything to be getting more expensive this year. I've already gotten several emails from different suppliers and manufacturers in the sewing and quilting space, and all of them are raising their prices, their wholesale prices, which means the retail price needs to be raised as well. Just due to the increase in production costs, increase in raw materials, a lot of fabric companies continue to raise prices. I know, I believe I got an email from Figo Fabrics saying that they're raising their prices. That's one of my suppliers. Creative Grids, the ruler company that I love, raising their prices. So honestly, if there's stuff you need now, like supplies, I would actually buy it sooner rather than later, because the price of everything is just going up and up and up. And a lot of supplies will be increasing as well. So in fact, I remember when I first started sewing and quilting cotton was like $9 or $10. And now it's starting off, if you're selling at like full retail price, quilting cotton is like $12.50 to like $15 a yard. Especially if you're going for a Cloud 9 fabrics, which is like the organic cotton, that stuff is just more expensive. And the wholesale costs are going up. So a lot of costs of all of your supplies, all of your fabric is going to be rising just because of inflation and the increased costs of producing all of these items. So just a heads up, you're going to see, I mean, we saw it last year, you're going to see it again this year. Prices are increasing. So just a heads up. All right, so the next store I want to talk about, one of the most popular fabric designers in the quilting, fabric, sewing space, has a really exciting relaunch that has something to do with this fabric you see here, and that is Tula Pink. And I saw this and I thought it was super cool. All right, so let's take a look at this. Okay, so there was a collection that Tula Pink did several years ago. I think it was like 5 years ago or something like that. And there was a collection she did called Tabby Road. Now, Tabby Road was a cat-themed print. And there were, so here is the original collection. Super cute. I love the bright colors. And the prints were anything from, like, these cans of cat food to this. This is called the Disco Kitty print, the cats. They have some with mice on them. There's, like, furry polka dots, stripes. Some really fun, like, low volume, like kind of small, kind of like a smaller print, kind of a blender, stripes, all kinds of fun stuff. This is one of my favorite collections, and I purchased some yardage from this collection when it came out. And then I noticed that the price on the resale market, like if you look on Etsy or eBay, people are selling this fabric for just insane prices. So this is the Tabby Road collection. And if you don't know, I had a cat named Gato. She's passed away. She died on Christmas Day a couple years ago. And the print reminded me of my cat. So, of course, I had to buy some yardage for myself. So let me switch it to the overhead camera. So these are the prints I got. So I bought a couple yards of the Disco Kitty print. So I have it in like the raspberry color, and the cats are like green and sort of like lime green. And then I also got it in this like really fun like neon orange color with kind of aqua in green cats. And then I got this blueberry print with like kind of a polka dotted kitty with like blue and like lime green. And then I also got a few of the blender prints. I just really love this diamond print. I think I got like a half yard of this, and I think I got like 2 yards of this. These are sort of like cat eyes, but I loved how the colors were, kind of like a nice rainbow collection. I just really love the collection. And if you've noticed, I haven't cut into the fabrics at all. I don't know why. I just couldn't do it yet. So this collection is long sold out and you can't get it anymore. But if you look at it on the resale market, it's going for like $100 to $200 a yard, which is insane. especially for the cat prints. The cat prints are very rare. It's out of print. And if you're new to sewing and quilting, one thing that was kind of interesting is that it's easy to get FOMO with fabric because once a print sells out, like they don't make it again. So it's like if you really like a collection, you kind of need to buy it because you don't know if you're going to ever be able to get it again. You could try to get it on the resale market, but you don't know if you're going to be able to get it. So I saw Tula Pink announce this on her Instagram Reels, and I was super excited. She has been doing this for a few of her collections. She's doing what's called a Deja Vu re-release. So what she's doing is she's taking her original fabric collections, reworking the colorways, and then releasing a few of the prints in these new colorways. And this one, I just thought this was super cool. So let's take a look. So I am super excited, and I do plan on purchasing. I totally plan on purchasing this collection. So this is the Tula Pink Deja Vu. This is shipping, I believe, in July of this year, July of 2024. All right, let's take a look at the announcement. The Deja Vu collections are designed to offer a new take on an old favorite. In an effort to preserve the original collection, I have recolored Tabby Road for a new group of quilters. For people who loved Tabby Road when it first debuted in 2012, wow, that's a really long time ago, I offer you a brand new colorway. I feel like that might be, I don't know, I feel like it was later than that. I don't know, who knows? I offer you a brand new colorway and a new reworked print. The linchpin of the collection is Disco Kitty, a pair of fantasy cats in stripes and polka dots. The collection is built around them. I have added a new version called Club Kitty. Oh, that'll be fun. Scaled up and splattered with nighttime stars in the background. The supporting prints are back with the volume turned way up. I added a prism of colors to some of the original 2 and 3 color prints to give them their new own spotlight. I chose Tabby Road for this year's Deja Vu collection for 2 reasons. The first reason is that I loved this collection and I hope that other people do too. The second is to show some love to my cat people. Besties in an all pets collection which shipped in 2023 largely focused on dogs with a teeny tiny cat print. I am hoping this will balance the scales. The Deja Vu collections come with an audience that already loves and misses these fabrics, but with enough twists and turns to make them fall in love all over again. It is also designed to serve quilters who are new to us and missed these fabrics the first time around. By breathing new life into these long out-of-print fabrics with brand new colors and some additional extras, I am preserving the original fabrics for the people who have collected them in an effort to not devalue their hard-earned or hoarded collections. I thought this was a great idea because a lot of people who bought them on the secondhand market paid a lot of money for those fabrics. So I do really like that she's respecting the people that purchased them for those prices. Tabby Road Deja Vu is 8 pieces presented as one complete colorway for new fans and old friends. Look at these prints. These are so cool. I love how she incorporated more colors into all of the prints. I love the rainbow stripes. I love how there's more colors in the cat eye print and in the diamond print. Oh my gosh, I definitely plan to order. So I've noticed a lot of Etsy sellers are selling pre-orders for this collection. They're offering like fat quarter bundles, half yard bundles, yard bundles. I think I'm going to order a full yard bundle so I can get all of the prints. I actually like all of the prints, and I really appreciate that most of the prints have more colors in them. I think the diamond with all of these ombre, kind of an ombre design, super cool. I love the mouse print. I actually like the Deja Vu collection better than the original. And look at these colorful kitty prints. These are so cute. So if you guys are a fan of the Tabby Road collection and you missed out on it the first time, I just think this is such a cool re-release, and I'm really excited about the cat collection. I'm actually, probably after I get off this live stream, I'm probably going to pre-order a collection. There was also a print in I think it was in the Besties collection. There was a bunny print, and I really want to order some yardage of the rabbit print because I have a rabbit, so I'm a little bit biased, but I just think this is such a cool announcement. Tula Pink, bravo, because I think this is a really smart idea to re-release some of your most popular collections in new colorways. And I also thought it was very mindful of you to not just re-release the same fabrics, but to rework them, give them new life, and not also devalue people who may have purchased them at higher prices on the secondhand market. So I'm really excited about this collection, and I'm super pumped to get it myself and add to my kitty fabrics. I know I feel like kind of silly for not cutting into these fabrics, but I just love them so much. I love the cat prints, and I'm super excited. So let's see what you guys think. Let's take a look at these comments here. Okay, here. All right, and we also some of these comments are about the previous. Oh, yes, and she's also going to offer some of the new prints in a minky fabric. So I have not seen her do minky fabric. In all honesty, I don't sew with minky a lot. I just find it kind of difficult to work with. But if you do like minky fabrics, that is one new substrate she's offering, which I think is super cool. Okay. All right, so we've got some comments. All right. And these are comments just about some of the general topics too. I'm 30 minutes from Missouri Star and order online from them if there is something I want. They have awesome shops and it's too much for a stop and it's more destination. All right, this is a good... Christina says, maybe we should start a Facebook or something so when we buy fabric, we can give a description and maybe a video to show the hand and drape. Hey, that's a good idea. Maybe you should totally start a Facebook group for that. Rebecca says, I'm over the coupon versus sales gymnastics at JOANN's. Just give me the best and fair price. You know, I feel like a lot of us are getting sort of fatigued from all of the sales and then the coupons and stuff. Sometimes it can be a little bit much. All right, Lisa says, too much fleece and flannel at JOANN's. Yeah, agree. Okay. Let's see here. All right. Lisa says, it was predicted during the lockdown businesses would be hurting down the road. I think a lot of us saw this coming, and I think any business that started during the pandemic and thought that would go on forever, I do feel like that's kind of short-sighted. Like if you added a lot to your workforce, that was just a very artificially created environment that probably is not going to happen again. So, yeah, I agree. All right, the Stanley Cups are going for hundreds on eBay. Man, that is so crazy. All right, so scary. Everything is going up, and my wages actually went down. COVID killed my last job, and the market was so flooded in my area with job seekers that I had to take a pay cut to go back to work. I'm so sorry to hear that, and I think you're definitely not alone. A lot of people are going through job losses. Again, the people at JOANN's were either laid off or they could take a pay cut. I mean, I just think the economy and things are shrinking. So things are definitely shrinking, and it really stinks. All right, Sarah just says, Tula, right? All right, Tara says, there's definitely a big shift since the pandemic. For sure. Things are just not the same. And I just think a lot of the boom we saw during COVID it's gone away, and we're kind of back to the pre-COVID levels of, sort of the economic climate here. Oh, yes, Sarah. Have you ever seen the Besties Tula prints with I need to order. I really need to order. I really like the bunny print in the navy green colorway, but that's a good reminder. This week, I need to get on it and order the bunny print before it goes away. So I want to order that so bad. All right. Yes, printed fabric prices are normally $30 per yard. That is too much. The price of fabric has gotten really insane. Really insane. All right. Melissa says, I'm actually making a fleece vest right now. Lol. Hey, at least you must be the person that JOANN's is catering to with all of the fleece. All right, Tara says, to each their own. I want to make a tie fleece blanket because I have youngsters in my family that would love them. And here's the thing. I have nothing against the tie fleece blankets. Again, I think it's a good starter project. It's no-sew. They're easy. I totally get it. It's just not something I normally do. And I just want to know how many people are actually making those fleece blankets. All right. I'm more of a crafter and cricketer, but I do sew on occasion. I bought beautiful fabrics to make specific items, but I am waiting on a sew along live with Jen. Well, thank you, Tara. Thank you. Yeah, I need to do on the main channel this year. I would like to do more. We're gonna get back into the sewing groove. We're getting back into the sewing groove here. All right. Oh, making your dreams come true. I donated 14 squares to someone, but I missed the live stream when she sewed them together. Oh, that's cool of you. I'm going to get some more water real quick here. So what do you guys think about Tula Pink taking popular collections of the past, reworking the colorways, and then re-releasing? I actually think it's super cool. Especially for, you know, people might not have been a quilter or a sewist back when the first collection came out. I also love the new colors. I'm really excited for this collection. And after I jump off of this, I need to finally just bite the bullet and order that bunny fabric because I love the bunny fabric and I don't want to miss out on it. So I do have a little bit of FOMO with that. So that's something I got to do. Here. Oh, that's nice of you. A lot of charities appreciate receiving the tie blankets, and they are inexpensive. That's a good point. You know, I think if you got the time to make them and you want to do it, that's totally cool. You can get the fleece at a good price. You know, that's awesome. Okay. Sarah J says, I think she has a great idea there in regards to Tula Pink. She has such avid followers, and it's a great business model. Yeah, and the cat fabric, that's the thing, like the cat fabric was so crazy popular, she'd be nuts not to re-release in some way, especially seeing how much this fabric is going for. Like on the secondhand market, people are selling fat quarters for like $60 or something. It's really insane. And I think I paid about $10 a yard for the fabric. So I did the math, and apparently this is worth like if I sold it for the prices it's going for online, this would be like $700. I think it's nuts. I think it's a good to revive an older collection. Exactly. I think so too. And I love the new colors. I like that she just didn't re-release the same prints. She kind of made them better. And I actually really like the new prints. So I'm excited about that. I think it'll be super cool. And yeah, out of everyone watching here, how many of you actually own one of those Stanley cups? Like, I'm just seeing them everywhere. Am I missing out on something, or like do I not really need one? I don't know. So okay. Another thing I want to touch on here is my own Etsy shop. So I sell fabric and sewing supplies in the Sewing Report Etsy shop, which is the sponsor of this live stream. And one thing I've shared here is that selling fabric has been tough in the shop. The items that tend to sell the best are supplies like scissors, sewing pins, the sew tights, one of the most popular items in the shop. And from my standpoint, it's actually easier to sell supplies than it is fabric, and that's for a couple of reasons. If I'm selling a fabric bundle that I personally don't sell fabric by the yard just because I don't have the manpower to be able to do that. I only sell pre-cuts because at least that, if I sold, I would have to sell such a large volume of fabric to make selling fabric by the yard, like cut to the yard, worth it for me. So what I do to make it doable is I only sell bundles. So where I can kind of, take a session, cut like a few fat quarter bundles or half yard bundles, and not having to cut each individual order, it just takes a lot more time. If I were to sell fabric cut to the yard, I would need to sell such a massive amount of fabric that I would have a helper to be able to help me do that. And I'm not at that level. So that's why I don't personally offer fabric cut by the yardage personally. The other thing I found with fabric is it doesn't move nearly as fast. Even when I put it on sale, at that point, I'm kind of breaking even on the fabric itself. I think fabric is more taste specific. Like with supplies, like with the sew tights, you know, it's something that everybody can use. But with fabric prints, you know, you have to go by what people like and dislike. And not everyone loves certain prints. So because fabric is very personal and taste specific, it's just harder to sell. Plus, it takes up a lot of storage room. So there's a lot of downsides with the fabric, and it's more expensive to ship because of the weight of the fabric. So just as a small Etsy shop owner, that's why in my experience, selling fabric is pretty tough, and I've gotten away from doing it just for all of those factors. I think the fabric shops that do that it's worthwhile for are fabric shops that sell a lot of fabric, have a lot of storage room, and have someone that helps to cut the fabric. I don't have any of those things, so that's why for me, it hasn't really been worthwhile to sell fabric, and that's why I don't really plan to expand my fabric sales at this time, and I've kind of cut back. Like, I'm trying to sell what I have inventory-wise, but I'm personally not focused on selling fabric. With all that said, though, last night I did actually make a new purchase of fabric inventory because sometimes the suppliers I get fabric from will run discounts or sales on like kind of closeout fabric. So I was able to get a pretty decent deal on some fabrics. So I placed an order from Vigo Fabrics that I will be doing like a bundle in the shop. And the only reason I did that is because the price made sense for me to buy it at, and I'm able to offer it at a very reasonable price in the Etsy shop. Now hopefully this does come in. I ordered a really cute, I have a couple bolts of knit fabrics. They're very nice quality, substantial, not like the real flimsy knit fabric, but the very nice, like interlock knit fabrics. I have a couple bolts of knit fabrics from Cloud9 Fabrics, and then I ordered one specific knit print from Vigo Fabrics. It's really cute though. So I do feel like that print would sell decently because it's very cute. So I want to ask you about, if you're watching here and you do buy knit fabrics, I'm not going to be selling them cut by the yard, but I do want to offer like kind of a pre-cut yardage. Like I'm thinking either 2, 3, or 4 yards and just offering that. I'm not going to have very many. Like I might have like, 7 to sell. So I want to ask you watching, what would you be most likely to purchase in a like kind of pre-cut knit yardage? 2 yards, 3 yards, or 4 yards. A lot of these projects would be good for like if you're doing baby items, clothing items, knit accessories, or you could do maybe like a knit sweatshirt for yourself, something like that. Because of the prices I was able to get these fabrics at, I am able to offer them at a pretty good price, I think. But you do have to keep in mind, shipping knit fabrics is very expensive because it's so heavy and takes up because the knit fabrics take up a lot of space. So the items that make most sense for me to sell in the Etsy shop are items that either are very small or don't weigh very much or take up a lot of space. So smaller items that are lighter weight. When it's super heavy or super big or bulky, like the reason I don't sell this Sew Tights hang stand in my own shop is because it's very heavy. So I don't plan to sell this myself because of the weight of the item and the fact that it's fairly large. So that's why I choose some of the items I do in terms of what I'm selling in the Etsy shop. But let me know, are you interested in knit fabrics? And then 2, if you were to buy like a pre-cut, like I wouldn't do like you could pick any yardage you want, just because I also need to make it manageable for me, and anything over like 4 yards, it would be very cumbersome to ship. So that's why I would be offering like kind of a preset yardage amount of 2, 3, or 4 yards. So let me know in the chat or in the comments which yardage would make the most sense for you to purchase. I do have a few of these, and I do need to try to list them. I've had some of these knit fabrics for a while, and I just haven't listed them. I also have some other like very odd fabrics as well that I'm probably going to be offering as well, just to kind of try to de-stash. I have a lot of fabrics, so I will be offering some of those. So, all right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. Okay. Lisa says, Stanley products have been out forever. Hubby had them back in the day. Wonder how the new interest got so viral. I would guess a TikTok influencer. Wouldn't be surprised. I would guess influencer marketing. Plus, I think some of the colors they're releasing them in are very like influencer friendly. Like there's pink, there's fun colors. And from back in the day, a lot of the Stanley products were like that Stanley green color. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Okay. Christina says, I love knit fabrics. I always buy 4 yards. Okay. I appreciate that. So, all right, let's take a look at and the width is about 55 to 59 inches. So I believe I'll have to take a look, but I'm pretty sure they're 59 inches. So if that sounds good to you. So it's either 50, I think it's like either 55 to 59, but it's definitely over 50 inches. All right, we got 3 yards here, 4 yards. All right, 2 yards. I'll probably take a poll on the main channel, and probably whatever is like the most popular, answer is probably what I would do. And keep in mind, I only have like 1 bolt of most of these, so I would only honestly have like 3 or 4 to sell. So, and I want to keep some for myself for projects, so I wouldn't have that much. All right. I'd sell it and buy another machine. Lol, just kidding. Okay, thank you. All right. So yeah, let me know what yardage you would be the most likely to purchase in knit fabric. I'm just trying to figure out what would make the most sense. Again, like the bolts are only like 15 yards. So if I sell, like say I did 4 yards, I would only have 3. So not very many. I'm leaning more towards 2 or 3, honestly. I'm thinking more towards 3. If I did 3 yards, I would have like 4 to sell. If I did 4 yards, I would literally only have like 3, because a bolt is literal. And I try to cut my yardage kind of generously, so the person doesn't feel like they're ripped off. Like I usually cut an extra 1 inch to 2 inches on a cut. So like if I say fat quarter, I'm going to be real with you. It's like usually a little bit, like I don't do 18 inches. Usually I cut about 19 or 20 inches. So that's what I normally do, just so the first person does not feel shortchanged. So here's the thing. If people did 2 yards, they could double up, but I wouldn't do continuous. Here's the thing. I wouldn't do continuous yardage though. So it would be like that. And the reason I would do that is because I need to know, when you input your listings into Etsy, you need to know like the weight of it for the shipping. So that's why I wouldn't be able to cut different yards, because I need to know how much the package weighs. So that's why if I did like 2 yards, they would not be cut continuously. I would cut them all at once and sell them like that, just so it's not like a ton of work. So that's why I personally am not able to offer fabric cut by the yard, is just because I wouldn't be able to, it wouldn't be very feasible for me to do in terms of labor. So it has to make sense. And that's why, if I'm doing like fat quarter bundles, I can take a day and cut all of the fat quarter bundles. But if I'm cutting fabric by the yard, it's like, oh, somebody ordered these for me, and I'd have to cut each order individually, and time-wise it just doesn't make sense. So yeah, here's the thing. For me, doing continuous is an issue. I've just done the math, and I figure out how much time it takes, and that's why I don't offer continuous yardage. So if someone does buy like 2 bundles from me, they're getting 2 separate bundles, just because I don't have the time, like with everything else I'm doing, it's literally just me to be able to custom cut an order every time it comes in. So like if I'm offering like yard bundles, I'll cut like 4 at a time. But I just don't personally have the manpower to be able to custom cut each order. So that's why I don't offer continuously cut bundles. I think the shops that can make that feasible, they're the ones selling tons and tons of fabric. And even a lot of online in brick and mortar fabric shops don't make it. Like you don't make that much money selling fabric, especially when you factor in the shipping costs, which I do offer free shipping over $35 orders. So when you factor in the shipping and then like all of your other costs, it just doesn't make a ton of sense to sell fabric unless you get the fabric for like a pretty insane deal. So that's why I personally have shied away from selling fabric in the shop, which I know sucks because our fabric shop options are becoming more and more limited. So I know it kind of sucks, but it also has to make sense for the business owner to sell the fabric. And for me, selling fabric just doesn't make a ton of sense. So I generally I've tried to sell through it. Plus it sells a lot slower and you end up sitting on a lot of inventory. This is just my personal experience. I've been selling fabric for about 3 years and I have most of the I have not sold out of any of the fabric yet. You know, and that's the thing. Could I eat the cost? Sure, but then it really doesn't make sense. If there's zero profit in selling fabric, then I might as well just not do it at all, if that makes sense. So I hope maybe this sheds a light on fabric selling. But in my opinion, selling fabric is just one of the harder items to sell on Etsy and in brick and mortar shops. Like they really don't have any margin if you have overhead of like a physical location and all of this other stuff. Like my overhead is actually a lot less because I'm operating out of my house and I don't have a lot of those costs. And it still doesn't really make a lot of sense for me to sell fabric. So you really need to sell a ton of fabric in order to sell it. Okay, I get what you're saying. So here's the thing. Some people are okay with it. Some people are not. I realize though that kind of does limit my customer base. I totally realize it limits how many people are going to buy the fabric, and that's fine. I just know that that's what I have to do to make sense for me, is to only offer like preset bundles. Like you're getting 2 yards of this, you're getting 3 yards of that. Right now, I'm probably leaning more towards like 3 yards. I feel like that's enough. You could do a lot with. You could also do a piece of you could do like a sweatshirt with that. And you could do a lot of small projects. Plus, the price I got the knit fabric at, I'm able to offer it at a very reasonable price. So that's why I think I'm going to end up doing that. Is because I'm able to offer it at a pretty good price that I wouldn't normally be able to do just because I got a good deal like on the fabric. So, all right, Melissa says 3 yards. I'm thinking 3 yards. I think that would be the most. Plus, I think I could probably, I'll have to check, but I think I could put those 3 yards in one of those USPS flat rate boxes. And here's the thing. Shipping this fabric is really expensive because of how much it weighs. Like 3 yards of a knit fabric is going to be over 2 pounds. If I ship it in a flat rate box, that's probably one of my better shipping options. And a flat rate box, the medium size, is over $13. And that's one of the better shipping options. The reason I don't do UPS is because I need to be able to operate out of my house. I share a car with my husband. I'm not really able to drive to the UPS store. Plus, my personal experience with the UPS stores have been horrible. So I really prefer not to support UPS, just because every time I go to the store, I get horrible customer service and it's not very close to me. So the convenience of me using the post office just makes a lot more sense. But I would really need to do that flat rate box. So I think I could probably fit 3 yards into the flat rate box. And at the price I got, with the shipping even factored in, I could still give you guys a pretty good price. So that's why I'm thinking about selling this knit fabric. But yeah, I got, the free shipping. And here's the thing, Etsy is really pushing sellers to offer the free shipping. And that's the thing, you're kind of competing with a bunch of other sellers that do offer free shipping. So if you don't offer free shipping, you're really like kind of shooting yourself in the foot, because so many other shops do offer the free shipping. So you have to build that into your prices. But I can say, just from my experience selling fabric in the Etsy shop, it's one of the items that you really don't make money. You really don't make any money on. And it's very labor intensive. Like if I cut fabric bundles, it takes me like all day to cut like 8 fabric bundles. So that's a whole day of work. And that's also time I could spend doing other things, like making another video or doing a live stream or doing something else with my time. And to not make any money from it doesn't make a lot of sense. So I will be offering fabric only if I can get the fabric at a price where it makes sense at. But I'm only going to be purchasing inventory from these suppliers if it's at a discount for me to start off with. So it's hard to sell anything, and again, I've kind of gone over the numbers in a previous live stream about how much my Etsy shop makes. And I've been doing this for about 3 years. I have a channel that I promote the Etsy shop with over 100,000 subscribers, and I still about break even on the Etsy shop. Am I glad I'm doing the Etsy shop? Absolutely. But in terms of it being a moneymaker, it's really not, especially after you factor in all of the costs. So it's really hard to do. It's really hard to do an Etsy shop and actually make a feasible living out of it. I can say that. So, and a lot of my supplies are not very labor intensive. Like if I'm selling supplies, I'm not making a product, I'm getting inventory and then I'm reselling it. I'm not having to do a lot with it. But when I have to cut fabric bundles, that becomes labor intensive because I have to actually cut the fabric. So, like kind of the less work it is for me to sell the item, the more it makes sense. Or if I can get that, like if I can get fabric at an insane deal and pass it on and also offer you a good deal, then it starts to make sense. But a lot of the time, for me, the Etsy shop, it really, am I glad I'm doing it? Yes, because I'm able to get my supplies from my distributor at a really good cost for me. But in terms of it making a ton of money, it really just doesn't. So, if you have questions about selling on Etsy, I'm happy to answer it. I've been doing it for a while. I do work with an accountant, and I've been, kind of learn the ins and outs business-wise, but it's really tough, especially when you consider all of the costs of doing the Etsy shop. All right, I'm going to get some water real quick. All right, let's turn the music back on. We'll rock out a little bit. We'll read some comments, we'll answer some more questions. If you guys have any predictions for what's going on, what happens with the business climate in the sewing and quilting world, crafting space, let me know. What do you think is going to happen? But yeah, since I've been sewing and quilting, the costs of supplies have risen dramatically. And I think it's just going to get higher and higher. And that is really a bummer, Nobody wants the price of stuff to go up. Let's be real. All right. Have you heard anything about Hancock's of Paducah? I've seen Hancock's. I personally don't know much about that particular online. Don't they sell fabric online? I haven't bought anything from there, so I don't know. I've purchased from Fashion Fabrics Club, like that site, pretty good deals. And they have like a lot of different, they're constantly getting a lot of different types of inventory. I purchased from Fabric Wholesale Direct, generally a pretty good experience with that. The only caveat is that, some of the fabrics are kind of cheap, but the prices reflect it. I did order some stretched polyester taffeta fabric though, and I ordered black fabric, and it like the dye rubbed off on other stuff, so that was a little disappointing. I do have some links to some shops below, some affiliate links, and again, if you'd like to purchase Sew Ties products, Like if you want to get this hang stand or you want to get their new magnetic cutting system, you can get 15% off your order with coupon code Sewing Report. I am a Sew Tights affiliate, but this is not sponsored, and you know, I just genuinely like the Sew Tights products, and this live stream is sponsored by the Sewing Report Etsy shop. Yeah, I agree. Sewing is a pretty pricey hobby. Like, that's the thing. A lot of people, if you don't know anything about sewing, people will be like, oh, you know, they assume you do it to save money. And they don't realize that it's more expensive often to sew something than it is to buy it. Especially if it's like, you know, like a Target t-shirt or something. So a lot of people just don't really, you know, understand. Yeah, Fabric Wholesale. I've ordered a lot of stuff from Fabric Wholesale Direct, and I've had a generally pretty good experience. Their threshold for the free shipping is kind of high. I think you have to buy like $79 or $99. But I think they have flat rate shipping for like $7.99 or $5.99, something like that. But the prices are really good, I think, for the products. I love the meme, why buy it for 10 pounds when you can make it for 50? Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Plus, when you factor in the cost of your sewing machines and all of your supplies, plus like the time you had to spend to learn how to make the item. Yeah, I can say I don't sew to save money. I sew because I enjoy it. Okay, so I do want to kind of explain the plan for these live streams. So sometimes I think what I'll do is I'm going to try to do them on Sundays. I think Sunday seems to be a pretty good time when people are around. Sometimes we might focus on a single topic if it's like big enough. Other times I would like to do shows like this where I touch on a variety of things going on, kind of like a roundup of what's going on in the sewing and quilting world. But here's what I want to do. I think after the live stream, I know sometimes people don't want to sit through a 2-hour live stream, and I totally get that. What I plan to do is cut clips from the live stream and then upload them to this channel for people who miss the live stream and just maybe want to see that particular segment. So like for this show, I'll probably cut them into clips, like one on the Etsy layoffs, one on the JOANN's latest, and then another on the Tula Pink Tabby Road announcement, and then upload those as separate clips. So that's what I'm probably going to be doing. So I want to give people different viewing options. If you want to join live or see the live stream on the replay, you can. This is for someone who kind of likes that easy viewing, casual feel. You want to see all the comments. You want to participate. And then I'd also like to offer clips for people who maybe don't want to watch the whole live stream, but you just want to see the video on that specific topic. So if you do see me upload clips over the next few days on what we talked about, don't be like, oh, you know, just repeating. So that's sort of the plan for this channel. If we're doing topics, if we're doing a live stream with multiple topics in it, I think a lot of other channels do that, and I think it's a fairly good good format. And it also gives people different options for how they want to consume the content. So if you like to watch live or watch a whole replay, you can. But if you don't have to, and you can just sort of see the portion of the show that you want to. So that's sort of the plan for this channel. I do need to be a little more consistent. I know, like, I didn't go live for like 2 months. I tend to get this thing where if something does really well, like those JOANN live streams did really well, I tend to sort of like get paralyzed with like fear. I know that sounds weird. And I just like, I don't know, I just feel a lot of pressure to like follow it up with something just as good. I don't know if this makes any sense. And that kind of happened with the main channel after the Brother Sketch videos. I also need to come up with, like, I've been doing this for a while, but I need to come up with a better workflow, I think, for my content planning. So those are my goals for a 2024. I think I'm going to hop off soon because I haven't eaten anything. I'm going to have a sandwich tonight. I got some sandwich stuff. I'm excited about that. Also, I made some pork chops yesterday, and then they turned out awesome. Oh, And if you have been watching for a while, you know I love watching Korean dramas. And I just started a new one last night, and so far it's really good. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's called My Man is Cupid or something like that. It's literally called My Man is Cupid, and it's about a woman who's a veterinarian, and her love interest is literally a guy who's Cupid. Like, you know, Cupid, like the shoot, you know, arrows and shoot hearts into people and whatever. It's a very strange premise for a show, but it drew me in right away, and so far it's like a really good show. It's funny, but it's also like intriguing. It's got some like suspense to it. So I'm really liking the show so far, and I just kind of stumbled upon it randomly, but Amazon Prime is starting to get more and more K-dramas, and that one so far I just started watching. I think it's really good. I'm probably going to watch it while I eat my sandwich and try to cut some clips from this show. But if you're into K-dramas or you're curious about them, really great shows. Korean TV shows tend to be like kind of less commitment viewing wise. They're typically only one season, so they don't typically do like multiple seasons. And it's usually between 12 and 16 one-hour episodes. So if you're really intense about it, you can get through a show in about a week. So it's not like you know, it takes you 5 years to get through one show. I like that about the K-dramas. And there's some really cool shows coming out. So I just started watching this. It's called My Man is Cupid. It's a very bizarre show, but I'm liking it so far. All right, let's read some comments, and I'll probably be signing off for the evening. All right, thank you, Sarah. Just be you, Jen. All right. All right, sounds like a pain. I just focus on your channel. Yeah. Are you talking about like the fabric stuff or the Etsy shop? And here's the thing. I enjoy doing the Etsy shop, you know, and it's, you know, I'm glad I'm doing it. I think it gives me more insight into the platform that I can share. And I think one benefit is that because I can get things as a wholesaler, I'm at least able to get supplies for myself very cheap. So I think that's good. All right, I agree, Jen. It's not often I have enough time to watch the whole live stream. Yeah, and I think that works. So if you want to join in on the live stream, you can. But if you only want to watch, like, you know, and I know sometimes on live streams, like, you know, it takes a while to get into the actual content you tuned in for, you know, so if you want to skip it, you can, but if you like all of the extra stuff and the camaraderie, you can join in on that too. All right, yes, K-dramas are awesome. I highly recommend. I am a little bit biased because I'm Korean, but I don't know any Korean, so I'm kind of in the same boat as many of you. Yes, it's super cute so far, but it's actually like not what you would expect. I was like, this, like when I first saw the title, I was like, this sounds really cheesy. But then when I started watching it, I was like, wow, this is not what all. And I've noticed that sometimes with K-dramas, like the thumbnail for the TV show and the name sounds really hokey, and you're like, that sounds terrible. But then when you start watching it, you're like, wow, this is actually kind of an awesome show. And I was not expecting that at all. Anyways, guys, I really appreciate everyone watching. Thank you so much for making it another great show. I seriously think this is like one of the most viewed live streams we've had live, I think, since I started live streaming. So thank you very much. And just another quick shout out to today's live stream sponsor, the Sewing Report Etsy shop, where you can find supplies, fabric, handmade goodies, and other fun things. I will definitely be starting to list this knit fabric, so watch out for that. But thanks everyone for watching. If you're here on the way out and you haven't left a thumbs up, I greatly appreciate it. But I'll see you guys again. And also let me know if you have suggestions for topics or news you'd like to see me cover. Leave a comment down below this video. Let me know what you think. But I'll see everyone in the next live stream. I'm Jen for Sewing Report Live. And have a great week, everyone. I'll see you